Welcome to the channel. My name is Yacht. My family and I are documenting our journey to find a place where we can be happy, safe, enjoy a healthy outdoor lifestyle with a relatively low cost of living. So tag along during our search for this special place.
Just waking up in the morning, gotta thank God. I don't know, but today seems kind of odd. Man, I love this place. It's dope. So, first impressions of Luz, Portugal. Second, just grab my morning coffee here. I have to admit, this place is pretty dope. I mean, just look at that view. Look at that. I mean, it's a little breezy. Some cold wind coming off of the ocean. But I still feel pretty comfortable in the sun. It's quite bright, as you can see. And yeah, it's nice and warm in the sun. I'm in a t-shirt. I feel comfortable. So it's pretty good, pretty good. But initial impressions, could I see myself living here? Huh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Man, it's gorgeous. Yeah, it's gorgeous. So, I'll finish viewing the town the rest of the day. Go and check out some neighboring towns as well, Portugal and Tolima. And then, report back later this afternoon. All right.
Welcome, and thanks for stopping by and checking out the channel. This particular video is on Luz, Portugal. Now, Luz is in Algarve for people that aren't familiar with this little town or little city. Depends on where you're from and how you categorize that stuff. But it was roughly the one or first or second city that my family and I were interested in Portugal. I guess you can say is, 1A was São Martinho do Porto, 1B was Luz, because we spent weeks, and when I say weeks, I mean weeks, scouring the coastline of Portugal, trying to find a place that had schools for our young kids, activities close enough to a larger city where, if family came into town, we could take them to go shopping, to, have great options for restaurants, to go to beaches that were, world-renowned, outdoor activities, because we love walking along the coast. I guess the trails along the hills along the coast. I don't know what they're officially called, but I love that stuff. So after scouring weeks and weeks along the coastline, doing all this research on Portugal, Luz was one of the major places that we were considering. We did find that the property prices in Luz were a bit more expensive than what we had saw in São Martinho and other non-Algarve places besides Lisbon and Porto, but we thought it might be worth it because of the quality of life that you could get there in Luz. I'm originally from Florida, so having warm weather and nice weather majority of the year is pretty much a must. I wouldn't say a must, but it's definitely one of the things that my family and I look for. So I guess I'll start off with the pros of Luz. First off, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous village or city, whatever you call it. It's quite large too. It's basically on the hillside. You have this flat, sandy beach that extends quite far. You have a gorgeous view of the ocean. You can get sunsets there. And then on the west side of the beach, there's like a rocky outcrop, and people sit there and watch the sunsets, and the water splash up on the rocky side of the beach. It is absolutely gorgeous. It has a long promenade that you can walk in the afternoon. Well, hell, any time of the day, you can walk and enjoy strolls. It's all paved, the cobblestones. It is gorgeous, lined with palm trees. It's idyllic. It's absolutely gorgeous. I can't say it enough. It's breathtaking. So, my first day there, just moseying around, walking up and down the hills of Luz. It is, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And then you have everything you need there. Tons of restaurants. There are, Mexican restaurants, Indian restaurants, Portuguese restaurants. There are like hillside walks. There's a trail, which I ended up posting in another video because it was quite long to kind of walk up the hillside to get to this lookout point near Luz. It's people ride their mountain bikes up there. You can walk the trail. You can, it's a good spot to be. And then if you go further up the hill, north of, I guess, the Praia da Luz, or the beach of Luz, you have all these nice homes, single family homes that actually look down back into the city, look into the ocean. So it's a good spot. And because it's on the hill, you have expansive views from most places. So it's good in that regard, So food, views all around. It is just a very picturesque city or town. The other thing that I would mention is that, at least for families, you have a lot of options because you're not that far from Lagos. So you have all the schools that are close there. There's actually a good private school in Luz. You are surrounded by a couple international schools. I think there's Vida Verde, or I probably got it backwards, but there's a private school there that's close nearby. So you have a lot of options for families that are considering it. Then, like I mentioned, you're not that far from Lagos, 15-minute drive. So you have all your big international, I wouldn't say international, but the bigger supermarkets like Intermarché, Continent. You have everything at your disposal. There's also shopping. So if you want to go clothes shopping, there's little markets. And then you have everything else that Lagos has to offer. And, it's idyllic. It's a nice spot to be. So I can't say enough good things about Luz. So, I'll go ahead and transition over to the few cons that I had and that I noticed from being there. Now, I was there in Luz. I spent roughly 4-5 days in Luz at an Airbnb there. And, spending my days walking out and at the end of the evening, in the early morning, middle of the day. During that time, for it to be a bigger city, it was pretty dead. I mean, really, really dead. On a daily basis, I would see, I don't know, 15, 20 people. For it to be such a large size city or town, it was pretty desolate. A lot of the cafes, hardly anyone was sitting outside. I mean, it was kind of shocking. I thought it would be a little bit more vibrant. The other thing that I would mention is that I felt was a con were the fact that I didn't see a lot of diversity. I honestly saw a lot of British people, which was interesting. I thought I would see, a lot more Portuguese, a lot more, international fare, since it was supposed to be a more talked about town in Portugal. But to me, it lended itself to be more of a vacation spot for British expats. So that's something that you have to keep in mind, is that outside of the tourist season, if you're single, if you are a family, it may be a little lonely there. And then, your kids may be bored to death. Now, I did see a lot of mothers with like really young kids at the beach. I want to say they had to be maybe 1 or 2 years old. So there are some families there, but I don't necessarily know if they actually live in Luz. From my understanding, like I said, there is a school nearby, a private school, and there has to be kids around, but and families that to support that private school and the local public school there. But it's a little interesting. I really don't know how to explain it. It was a little baffling, as you can tell. The other con that I had is when it comes to rentals. If you're looking to stay there long term, it may be a little difficult for you. Or hell, even buy. For long term rentals, since we were looking, like I said, this is one of our top 2 places to consider relocating to Portugal. We found it pretty slim pickings when it came to long term rentals. And I understand it from a business standpoint, especially people that own these Airbnbs, and you just make more money short-term rentals there, just because the influx of tourists is a hot destination when it comes for vacations, etc. So we only found a handful of rentals for long term. And then when it comes to purchasing properties there, they were through the roof, extremely expensive. And you always hear that the Algarve itself is expensive compared to the rest of Portugal, be outside of Porto and Lisbon. But we found Luz particularly expensive. And we don't know if it's just, the cachet that it brings. The last con, I would say, is that I was told by a few locals that I did see and meet that during the vacation months, it gets nutty from a tourist perspective. So, if you want a place where you don't have that huge influx of tourists all the time, during vacation months, and, you want a place that's a little bit more quiet, I would check out some of the other villages and small towns within Algarve. If that's what you're looking for, you want a place that has a little bit more warmer weather, mostly year round. So that's one thing you have to consider, when you're looking at the totality of this place and to decide whether or not to put it on your list. If you're looking to, check out Portugal for vacation or, permanent relocation. So, just, the pros and cons, just check it out. That overall, I really, really like Luz. Now, it definitely was a bummer that, especially because I have 2 young kids, I want them to be around other kids. And I just didn't see that. So I believe, most of the families probably live outside of Luz and, kind of come into Luz for the schools or the private schools nearby. But, that was the only downside I could see, beyond the expensive prices of the rentals and the houses there. But, I think it could be a good viable place for people who don't really care about that. you know, and to care about the cons that I kind of mentioned. But, you know, it's a gorgeous place. There's no way around it. It is absolutely beautiful. So if you're ever in the Algarve and you want to check out one of the most picturesque, scenic places that I had saw in all of Portugal, check out Luz. It's breathtaking. That alone would make me consider, you know, keeping Luz on the top list of destinations to relocate in Portugal. So that's it. If you guys have any questions on Luz, or, you know, other questions that may crop up after this video, just leave them in the comments below and I'll be sure to respond as soon as possible. Once again, thank you, and everyone have a good one. Thanks.